welcome. I'm Peggy, and I welcome you to our kitchen and some good recipes, some good food, and lots of information that we can all benefit from. And guess who's here? Marie Hegler from Clemson University, my good friend. I'm so glad to see you.
Always a pleasure to come.
Yeah, we always have fun together.
That's
and
right.
So you have what today? Feeding the family.
Yes, and there's no better way to feed a family than a casserole.
That's right.
Don't we all love casseroles? And today it's going to be sort of a Mexican-style casserole. It's a quinoa enchilada casserole.
Ooh, well, it sounds different anyway.
Yeah, it is a little. Yeah, no, there's a lot of different words in there. But we're going to be highlighting quinoa, which is a grain that you now. I mean, a few years back you might not have seen it so much, but now you can find it at most supermarkets and stores. And it cooks up.
That's it.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
And it's cooked. This is actually a cooked version of it, but it cooks up like rice, or if you've ever had couscous, similar kind of thing. But it's a grain, so you can use it like you can use any other grains and make different things with it.
All right.
And so in this situation, you could probably put rice if you didn't have quinoa.
You could use rice in this recipe.
Some cooked rice, throw it in there. But first, we also have chicken going on in this particular dish. And you don't have to have chicken in this. You could just do it as is, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But we're going to use this chicken, and also because we're going to add, this chicken by itself is actually really good too, because we're going to add some flavors to it.
Okay.
So first thing I'm going to do is make a kind of a rub for the chicken, which is going to have some different spices.
Now, this is the boneless chicken breast,
So we have 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, about a pound or a little over a pound. Nowadays, they usually come pretty big, so you might could just use one if there was a big chicken breast. So we have 2 of those, and we're going to make a rub, and we're going to start out with some chili powder, and it's just a teaspoon of chili powder. It's going in there, and this isn't going to, it might seem like it's going to be spicy, but it's not going to be a very spicy dish.
Okay.
You could make it spicy, and I'll tell you how to do that, but it's not spicy on its own. And then we have some cumin, which we're going to add that, and these are those flavors that you can associate.
Is it like about a teaspoon? Or?
Oh, a teaspoon, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Teaspoon of cumin, and then a half a teaspoon of garlic powder for some flavoring, and then a half a teaspoon of salt and a quarter teaspoon of pepper.
Okay.
So chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, and salt and pepper. And then you're just going to mix that together. And then I'm going to get my hands dirty because I'm going to spread it over this chicken. And this seems like a lot, and then you want to coat the chicken with this because it's going to, when we cook it, it's going to sear in those juices.
Okay.
And then it's also going to add flavor to this particular recipe when we get it constructed as a actual casserole. So let me turn this on while I'm thinking about it. So we just have a tablespoon of oil.
You don't see that very little oil in there, just a little bit.
Just a little bit so it doesn't stick. And then I'm going to start adding.
You want to really cover that.
Yes. And again, this is a great, if you just were going to make tacos or something, this is a great recipe to use just to throw on to make tacos with. Turn this over. And this is a good seasoning if you wanted to use, and this recipe, if you wanted to use ground beef or something, that'd be good too. So you just use whatever.
So it's a versatile recipe. You can kind of use what you like.
And then again, if you were a vegetarian or you didn't want to use meat, you could just add more beans to it. You probably want to put some kind of taco seasoning or something in it, just to add some more flavor. Or I guess we're going to be adding some enchilada sauce, so that might actually do the trick without having to add more seasoning to it. So we're going to let that heat that up. I'm going to wash my hands before I throw this in here. So as you can see, they're completely coated with that seasoning.
You want to be sure you got it all worked into the meat.
Yes, ma'am. Let me wash my hands real quick.
All right. This is a nice folder, and it's called Feeding the Family. And it has more than one recipe in it, but it also has some very good nutrition facts and substitutes that you can use with food. So if you're trying to lose weight, for instance, you can cut out the cheese and just use a little normal kind of ointment or something instead of a lot of cheese.
You could just use, you could half the cheese in this.
Or
this doesn't necessarily
cut
need
back
the
on
cheese.
it a little bit. Yeah.
And that's usually the trick. You can just use it a little bit more, a little bit less of something that you probably would normally add a lot to. I mean, we're going to add a lot of cheese to this, but you don't have to.
Well.
All right, so
There we go. Is it hot enough?
I think so. It'll get hotter probably. We're gonna add this chicken to this pan.
And there's not much in, just a tiny bit of
Oil
in the, whoops, there we go.
going in. All right, let me move this out of the way. All right, so next, what's this over here? We're gonna be adding, I'm gonna show you what you're gonna add to the bowl, the rest of the casserole while this is cooking, hopefully.
Yeah, it's starting to get hot
Okay.
now.
And so first of all, we have quinoa. And what I did was if you go to the grocery store, you can go into the grain section, wherever there's rice, couscous, that kind of thing, and you'll see a bag. I wish I had some uncooked quinoa to show you, but they're just little balls of little grains. And what you do is you put a cup of that, and you mix it with a cup or 2 cups of water, so 1 part quinoa versus 2 cups of water, or whatever it says on the instructions, basically. I just cooked it to what the package said. And you bring it to a boil, and then you let it cook. You lower the heat, and you let it cook for about 15 minutes or so. And so then it becomes this, like, the texture of it's...
That's very nice. Now, but you could use rice with this.
Yes, you can use
I,
rice.
Personally, I like brown rice.
Yeah, you can use brown rice, and you could use about, I think this is like 2 to 3 cups.
Yeah.
Probably like 3 cups. So it's really easy to cook. And then again, you can use this in all different kinds of capacities and ways. But this is going to be kind of the base for this particular casserole. So we're going to go ahead and add that to the bowl. So basically, like any casserole, you're just adding a bunch of stuff into a bowl, and then you add some cheese to it, and you bake it. And it's kind of you want to cook it till it gets like kind of fluffy. So it's a fluffy little grain.
Well, it looks nice.
So that's probably about 3 cups. So if you're going to do rice, maybe do about 3 cups of rice or so. All right. And then we're going to add some other things. Again, this is one of those recipes you can probably add whatever you like or take out what you don't like. We have some corn, just canned corn. You can use frozen corn. Use about a cup of frozen corn that you've thawed out.
If that's canned corn, you drain the liquid off of it.
Yes, that's what I did. I drained both of these, the beans.
Okay.
I rinsed and drained the beans. I just drained the corn. So we're going to add a can of corn, 1 normal size can of corn. If you have frozen, you would just want to make sure you thaw it out, but you could use that just as well. Then we have a can of beans. And then we're going to be adding, we'll do some cheese. We'll use about half of this cheese. So we're going to top it with cheese because everybody likes casserole stuffed with cheese.
Okay.
So add about a half of this cheese in there. I'm going to eyeball that. And this is 2 cups of cheese, so add a cup
What
of
kind
cheese.
of cheese do you recommend?
This is sharp cheddar cheese.
Okay, cheddar.
But, yeah, you could use, they have those like Mexican blended cheeses. There are different kinds. So and you can grate your own. I'm just taking a little shortcut. I'm having to grate it myself. So just a cup of cheese. So you're going to use about a total of 2 cups. If you want to be good, you could cut that back and use like a half a cup in there and then a half a cup on top. But cheese is nice. So just a cup of cheese. As you can see, it's already looking kind of pretty. And then we're going to be adding some chopped chilies, green chilies. And these are mild. This is not going to make it overly spicy. Both of these things we're going to add are mild. If you like spicy, then you could get the medium, the hot chilies. But these are just going to be mild. And I don't drain them. I just put it all in as it is. Stir that up. And then to make it an enchilada-ish dish, we're going to add some enchilada sauce. And you could, if you wanted to. Let's see what this chicken's doing. Smell that? Smells good. Yeah, let's see what it looks like. Yeah. I'll let that go for a little bit longer on that side. Because we're going to let it cook for a few minutes on each side. So the other thing we're going to add to this is going to be some enchilada sauce. Okay. So we have the red.
This is kind of a different recipe.
It is a little different, but you'll like it, hopefully. And this is a mild sauce. Again, you can get medium, hot, just like salsas or anything like that. But this is a mild one. There's green chili or green enchilada sauce. You can make it green if you want. It's just dependent on the pepper that you're using.
Okay. Well, I think I like that better than the green.
It's more, the thing we're more used to, I think, but I like green sauce too. And speaking of green, we're going to add some green to this. So I got this dish. I was a friend that, or a friend of a friend that blogs, and she has a cooking, or she has a blog, but had this dish on there, and I started I made it, and I was like, that's really, really good. So I added a few little things to this and changed a couple of things. One of the things I added to it was I was like, we need some green in there or some kind of onion taste. So I thought we should add some green onions into that. Which I'm gonna chop, but let me.
You want to turn that? I don't want to
You know,
ruin it.
burn the
I'm letting
chicken.
you're the boss here. So there it goes.
But you can see as it cooks, this is so hard to get this guy.
There we go.
So I'm gonna make sure to get that oil around, but it makes a really good color. So you're searing that. So you just want to brown that on both sides. So we're gonna chop up these green onions, or spring onions as some people call them. And you could also add cilantro to this dish to add a little green to it as well. So I'm just gonna slice these.
So this, when you say feeding the family, this is a meal in itself.
Yes, so I didn't put any, and we're gonna make a little dessert situation in a bit, but trying to come up with something to serve with this. You could always do like a green salad would be really good with this. They have those, you can make like a Mexican green salad and add some tortilla chips or something like that. You could also just have chips and salsa as a side. But normally when you have like a Mexican side dish, it's usually corn or beans or rice, and all that stuff's in here. So you're kind of limited to what you can add to it, or what you could make as a side. So I decided, well, let's just make a dessert. So we're gonna add this little bit of green to this. And so you could.
And you put only the tops in there.
Yeah, I did mostly the tops. You can't go all the way to the bottom of it. So you could just technically call this a day. You don't necessarily have to add chicken to this.
Okay, so while we're letting this simmer, we'll go to a quick break and we'll come back. But if you would like this folder, it's yours free for the asking, and we appreciate that self-addressed stamped envelope. And the recipe number is 1017. And we'll be glad. Send us a self-addressed stamped envelope, The Peggy Denny Show, Post Office Box 1616, Greenville, South Carolina, 29617. And we'll be right back.